Here are today's picks, beginning with Kotoko by Shinya Tsukamoto from Japan. Now, Tsukamoto makes these very tough, aggressive, edgy Japanese genre films, and he's done it again here. This is really just the story of a young woman with violence inside of her, which is expressed in very interesting ways. He's got an incredible visual imagination, this director, and if you like your films on the hard edge side, if you like something a little more exotic, a little more aggressive than you would usually see in contemporary American movies, this is a film you're going to want to see. Another pick for today is Violet and Daisy. This is the debut feature from Geoffrey Fletcher. He won the Academy Award for Best Screenwriter for writing Precious. This is the first time he's directed a film, and he's told an incredible story here. It's a story of two young teenage assassins, two young women, played by Saoirse Ronan and Alexis Bledel. They kidnap a man, played by James Gandolfini from The Sopranos, and they hold him hostage. They're about to kill him, but he somehow talks his way out of it, and they end up in a standoff. This is a film that begins in a kind of a dramatic, realist perspective, but it begins to change, and there are these incredible, fantastic elements to the film as well. You've also got this incredible cast, led by Gandolfini on the one hand, the veteran, the tough guy, but also these two young actresses who play off him in a really beautiful way. Smart film, very surprising. Another pick for today from France is called A Happy Event. This is the story of a young couple who have just gotten married. They're in the bliss of that first blush of love. They live in Paris, everything's wonderful, and then she gets pregnant. Now, it's maybe a little earlier than they had planned, and they decide to keep the baby, but that changes their life entirely. And the film really tracks their life from the moment they get pregnant through the first year of the child's life. And anybody who is a parent or who's contemplating becoming a parent, I think you'll really relate to the film. It's about what happens as the young woman's body changes completely. The actress here is Louise Bourgogne, who is beautiful, lovely French woman, but she changes entirely as the film progresses, and she becomes huge with this pregnancy. And then when the baby is born, you find that the baby changes their life entirely as well. They have to deal with staying up all night, with feeding the baby, with looking after it, but trying to understand when it's screaming. And really, this is a comic portrait. It's very rich, I think, in the detail that it brings to what it's like to become a parent for the first time. Another pick for today is called Michael from India. Now, it's important to say there are two films called Michael in the festival this year, one from Austria, one from India, very different. This is by the Indian director Ribhu Dasgupta, a new filmmaker, but he's being produced here by Anurag Kashyap, who we had last year at the festival with That Girl in the Yellow Boots. He's part of the Indian New Wave. He's changing cinema. This is another example of a new, more independent-minded Indian film. The great actor Nazaruddin Shah plays a police officer who's been deeply affected by an accidental shooting that he was a part of when he was a young officer, and how that act of violence comes back to haunt him as an older man. It's really a portrait of a man in crisis, but it's stylishly told. It's got a different kind of approach. It's not at all Bollywood, a lot more hard-edged, a lot more influenced perhaps by films like Martin Scorsese's Mean Streets than it is by anything with song and dance in it. Fascinating film and a great example of the new Indian cinema. Another pick for today is called Crane World by Pablo Trapero. Pablo Trapero began the Argentinian New Wave with this film, Crane World, in 1999. It's a story of a construction crane operator in Buenos Aires who struggles hard to find work to support his family. He's part of the building boom that was happening in the country at that time, but he's not benefiting from it materially. His crane work doesn't make him rich. He's just desperate to have a job. The film is shot in black and white. It's very beautifully photographed. It gives you a kind of a more reflective, more introspective view of what's happening in Buenos Aires at the time, which of course was going through enormous economic shifts, a collapse that happened at that time as well. But what Crane World does is it shows you the distance between the men who were working to create wealth in Argentina and the people who were benefiting from that wealth.